Disclaimer, many words in this episode will be mispronounced. Forgive us and love us the way we are. We're sorry in advance. Thanks!
Manao Ohana. That's hello in Malagasy, we think.
And we're saying hello in Malagasy because we are in Madagascar.
Madagascar is an island country and is the world's largest exporter of vanilla. But the one thing that the people of Madagascar eat a lot of is rice. A lot of rice. Rice is so popular that we decided to feature it twice, as a dish and as a drink. In Madagascar, we are going to tell you about Voanjobory, Henakisoa, and Ranovola. Voanjobory Henakisoa is a mix made with pork and Bambara nuts or Bambara beans, and we'll tell you about it later. Ranovola is a drink made from rice. Basically, it's burnt rice water. It's usually had at the end of the meal.
So a drink made with burnt rice water might sound different, but I would say don't knock it till you try it, but I tried it, so I might knock it a little bit. But before we even get into that, let's start with our Malagasy proverb, and it goes like this. Words are like eggs. When they're hatched, they have wings. So dear friends, use your words wisely because they can fly, and when they fly, they have consequences. Dum dum dum. At least we think that's what it means.
Yeah, that's what we think it means. Madagascar is the world's second largest island country. It is closest to Mauritius and the French territory of Réunion into the east, Comoros and the French territory of Mayotte to the northwest, and Mozambique to the west. Madagascar has a population of almost 27 million people, and the capital is Antananarivo.
Madagascar has a long history going well before the 16th century. But if we're talking about fairly recent history, it was a kingdom ruled by monarchs for more than 300 years until 1897 when it became a French colony. It became independent in 1960, but like almost all African countries, the colonial language remained even after independence. Because of this, Madagascar has two official languages. One is Malagasy, which is indigenous, and the other is French.
What we see as Malagasy cuisine today is the result of centuries of migration and trade. Initial settlers were likely Polynesian, and they brought some staples with them. The prominent one was, you guessed it,
Rice.
Immigrants from Eastern Africa brought the zebu cattle, and zebu is another major part of Malagasy cuisine. Later, Chinese, Indian, and European traders brought along their own influences, and of course, they have the French cuisine there too because of colonialism. I actually found the whole thing with the zebu cattle very interesting because I think I've talked to you about this before. There is a cut of meat, if you're from Nigeria and you eat suya, there is a type of meat called tozo. And I could never find the name of tozo in English. It's particularly fatty, extra delicious. And I always wondered once I left Nigeria, how can I eat tozo? How can I eat tozo? And I kept Googling, what part of the meat is this? And I found out it's actually cow hump, but specific to zebu cattle. So you can actually find it here. I was really sad when I found that out.
Oh, I feel bad for you, honey.
Have you had tozo? You haven't had tozo, right? Because I think I've asked you this before.
Honestly, I probably have. I may not remember it as that, or I might have known it as someone else. I grew up in the northern part of Nigeria, so there's a very, very high likelihood that I've tried it.
Okay.
Madagascar has a lot of hidden gems, and there are some specialty foods. If you go to a village called Talata Voanjobory, you will find that it is well known for its delicious locally produced sausages and also known for a sweet called koba. When you first see it, koba kind of looks like a small tree trunk. It is actually made by pouring rice flour on banana leaves, then adding a layer of crushed peanuts and then sugar mixed together, and then another layer of rice flour. You wrap this mix very tightly in the banana leaves until they look like logs, and then boil in a huge drum in water for 3 days. We have a picture on the blog so you can see what it looks like.
We mentioned that Madagascar is big on rice and people eat it across the country. You can also find pizza, and of course along the coastlines there's a lot of seafood because it's an island country. One famous dish out of Madagascar is romazava. Romazava is a beef stew made with green vegetables, meat stock, and lots of meat. It is served over rice. You can also find paku paku, which is a flat bread made from rice flour, oil, and coconut milk. that combination actually made me think of Nkatra Futra from Comoros. But anyway, you have that. You have a tomato and onion salad called Lasari Vortabia and Fozasi Henakisoa. Fozasi Henakisoa is a mix of crab, lobster, and pork seasoned with ginger and lime, and you eat that with rice. My God, that sounds delightful. And of course, there's fried rice. You know there had to be fried rice.
You know what we should have done?
What?
We should have taken a shot every time we said the word rice.
That would have been Oh, should we do this again? No, we can't do this again.
We can't do this again, but we should. You know what? When we are re-listening to this episode, let's do that. It's a long weekend. Well, no, it's not. Let's do that. When we're listening to it or going through the blog, we should, as the editing process.
We don't want to encourage our readers to do bad things. If you're listening at work, please don't take a shot.
You know what? Take a sip of tea.
Yes.
You know, just do something.
Anytime you hear the word rice.
When you hear the word rice, like mark a bingo card. I don't know. Keep going. Sorry.
Anyway, the fried rice is made with stuff like meat, shrimp, bok choy. There's that Chinese influence. Spring onions, eggs. For the French aspect of things, you have confit de canard, which is duck confit, and then you have foie gras. Foie gras is, if I'm not mistaken,
is it not that stuffed duck where you make the duck really fat?
Well, duck confit is fatty, but foie gras is liver. I think it's like
where isn't it banned in a bunch of countries for animal cruelty because essentially you overfeed the duck
for foie gras.
Yeah, you overfeed the duck until the liver is extremely fatty, and then you take it out.
Okay, that escalated really quickly.
Let's pause and let me check. Let me just make sure. Yep, we checked. It is banned in a couple of places, Canada included, but not in Madagascar. So, foie gras? No.
Okay.
No. Okay. No. Okay.
Anyway,
now I feel kind of weird. Okay, you can't just leave me on a pause. Okay. I was trying. We talked about the sad stuff.
Okay,
and then I was trying to hype us up.
Okay, so let's bring the mood back.
Okay, lift the mood. Okay,
lift the mood.
Up,
okay,
up. You could tell we haven't been to a party in a very long time.
This is the second time that we've talked about this in as much as in 2 weeks.
We're speaking the longings of our hearts. Keep going.
Okay. So yeah, based on what we've said, you can really see the mix of African, Chinese, and French influences here in Madagascar.
Apart from all the vegetables, meats, curries, and seafood, and really great deep fried pastries, Madagascar has a great mix of tropical and non-tropical fruit. You can find sugarcane, watermelon, mango, guava, as well as apples, strawberries, cherries, and lychees. As always, we talk a lot more about Malagasy dishes on the blog, which we keep plugging because always be plugging.
Also, there are great videos on YouTube about Malagasy cuisine, and we learned quite a bit from this channel called The Best Ever Food Review Show. I watched a couple of videos from there about food in Madagascar, and one thing that struck out to me was there was a part where they talked about this girl who was making this dish that has pasta, potatoes, and mayo in it, and then they put the funny part was when they said, "Oh, there's zebu skin on this," and I'm looking at it going, "Zebu skin? Isn't that momo?"
We bring our full selves everywhere.
I know. Sorry, that moment was for probably if you're Nigerian.
It's funny. I think I've had someone comment about how our accent switches depending on what we're saying, and it's more like, "Oh, that's nice. Oh my God!" Right? Like so.
But anyway. Yeah. So if you're not Nigerian, we eat in different parts of Africa and possibly outside of Africa too. They eat cow skin as different things. In Nigeria, we call it bomo. But yeah, I looked at it, I was like, they're calling it this fancy name, zebu skin cattle, zebu cattle skin. And I was like, that's bomo. It looks delicious though. So
bomo is delicious. So.
You know, no nutritive value apparently, but it's really good. Empty calories, I like those.
People that say that are haters. Okay, so it seems like we've been talking about food in Madagascar for like 10 years now, and it's making at least me hungry. I don't know about you guys. So let's talk about our main dish. Like we said, we made a dish and a drink. Voanjobory Henakisoa. It's a sauce made with pork and Bambara nuts. Bambara nuts or Bambara bean is a high protein legume, and it kind of looks like a cross between beans and chickpeas. Chickpeas because of how round they are. In different parts of Africa, it has different names. For example, in Ghana, it is called aboboi, And in southeastern Nigeria, it is used to make a kind of pudding called okpa.
Mm-hmm. So I found a few recipes for this dish. And the thing with looking at things on the internet is that you see things with different looks and different consistencies. So I found some where the dish was kind of like, what do you call it when beans is like mashed together? So it looked very...
Poto.
No, something that is more understandable. Like poto.
Like when I say the word... Okay, listeners, when I say the word poto, what comes to your head? Doesn't it sound like mushy?
Okay, that's the word we wanted, mushy. Thank you.
You know.
So I've had a couple of
I know
recipes
English.
that looked mushy. You could have started with mushy instead of poto, but okay. Anyway, we bring our full selves, like we said. Some were mushy, but when I looked at some others, they looked like the beans were not smashed together. They were more like single. And I also found a couple that said to use tomatoes, and I found some that didn't include tomatoes at all.
Mm-hmm.
So I reached out to a food blogger on Instagram. Shout out to Food Gasikara.
Thank you.
Her Instagram is at FOODGASIKARA. And what she explained to me is that in Madagascar, adding tomatoes is typically a personal preference. Most Malagasy people will tell you for different reasons like the budget or the health or the flavor, they may not like tomatoes. But what they will use is extra garlic and a lot of ginger to boost the flavor. The recipe I ended up using in terms of measurement did not ask for ginger, but I did put in ginger for extra flavor. So basically what came into this dish was your Bambara beans, pork pieces, onions, ginger, garlic, salt, and pepper to taste. I used Cameroon pepper because I wanted a little bit of heat.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in the videos I've seen, it looks like the cuts of pork are a little tougher and fattier than what we would find here, what we would use here. I'm not sure what cuts they used, but I used tenderloins. Mm-hmm. Not as tough and not as fatty as the typical ones that I saw online. Now, the recipe also didn't say to soak beans overnight, but some of the ones I found said soak overnight. I soaked this thing for 12 hours, right? Because if you're familiar with legumes like beans and they're very, very tough to cook. And so you soak them. Honestly, I don't think it changed how hard it was. All it did was just make it swell. And there's a whole story behind this. So long and short, what you're supposed to do is season your meat. Actually, it doesn't say to season your meat. It just says to fry it and then add the seasoning as you're frying. But I seasoned the meat. So you season with your salt and your pepper. You fry the pork a little bit, or more like brown it. Then you add in your whatever it is that you want to add. If you're adding tomatoes, you can add your chopped tomatoes. Otherwise, you add your onions, ginger, garlic. Your ginger is grated and fresh. Your garlic is chopped up in small pieces. Your onion is chopped up in small pieces. You kind of fry them out a little bit. When the meat is browned properly, then you add in the Bambara nuts. You add your salt and pepper to taste. You stir it around a little bit, and then you add enough water to submerge the entire thing. And then you cook until your nuts are tender and the pork is tender. Simple. In theory, that's what's supposed to happen. Now, I soaked this thing for 12 hours. And here's the thing. I ran through a lot of recipes, and a couple of them said boil the Bambara nuts first. And I was thinking, well, do I need to? Do I not need to? In retrospect, I think I should have. But here's another thing I noticed. When I see pictures of Malagasy Bambara beans, some of them are a little bit purple, and they look a little less chickpea-ish than the ones I found. So I don't know if there are different varieties of Bambara beans, and maybe the ones in Madagascar are a little more tender, and so they don't need as much cooking. I'm not sure. Because typically, what was supposed to happen, it seemed, was I was supposed to cover it with water and then cook it, and it would be done. But I covered this thing in water and cooked it 30 minutes or so. The water was drying out. This thing was still not soft. I added more water. So, of course, because I've added more water, I need to add more seasoning, more salt, more pepper. At that point, I switched to garlic powder instead of more fresh garlic. I just kept boiling and cooking. In total, this thing cooked for about an hour and a half. Please note that I had soaked it for 12 hours prior, plus the 1.5 hours of cooking. And by that time, the flavor had really gotten into everything and I was enjoying it. But I felt that the Bambara beans were still not quite as tender as they could have been. I wasn't going for mushy, but I didn't want it to be crunchy either. And you know when you have like beans that is almost like al dente? So I didn't want that. And so after all of that, last minute I was like, okay, I'm fed up and I'm tired. I put more water. I put everything in an Instapot and I cooked it for 10 minutes. And even what the Instapot does, it helps you. It doesn't draw out the water. It retains the water. So after I had done that, I now sauteed it because it says to kind of cook until almost all the water is gone. So you see different pictures where some are like soupy looking, where it looks like the Bambara beans are sitting in a sauce. But a lot of the ones I saw from Malagasy blogs and stuff didn't really have much of a sauce going. It was almost like the beans were like single. I don't know how else to say single. They weren't in a soupy thing. If that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that actually sounds really stressful.
It was.
But if you have not had a chance to look at the blog or the episode cover, it actually just looks like chickpeas that has been cooked in a kind of sauce. The meat is really nice. So if you just imagine cooked chickpeas, that is what it looks. It's brown. It's almost golden brown. There's no additional flavoring or sauce or oil to change the color significantly. It's essentially just light brown, golden brown, cooked chickpeas. So,
but it's not chickpeas. Let's just make that clear.
It looks like cooked chickpeas. Not a lot of people would have seen the actual bean, but if you need to imagine what it looked like, cooked chickpeas would be the way to go. Anyway, so next up we have the rice drink called Ranovola, which is essentially burnt rice water. You know what? I'm going to try to pretend like I'm enthusiastic. So let's do this again. Next up, we have a rice drink called Ranovola, which is essentially burnt rice water.
That was convincing. Okay. So this is really simple. I don't know, like if you're very familiar with the concept of bottom pot rice, that is a saying that came from jollof rice. And a lot of the time when people cook jollof rice, a little part of the rice at the bottom gets burnt. And that a lot of people like to eat that, actually. So this is like taking bottom pot rice to a different level. Now, we don't know how true this is, but some of the research we found talked about how this was a way to be honest, this sounded very suspicious to me, but it basically said how the water is not always very clean. This was a way to kill two birds with one stone, basically. So if you cook rice and it's burnt, and you pour water on it over the burnt rice, it loosens up the rice, right? So you can clean the pot one, and it also cleans the water by boiling. But that sounded very, very shady.
That does not sound like it's correct. If you're from Madagascar or you're familiar with this, can you just let us know if you know the origin of it? Because I don't know who that person is, but I don't know how burnt rice cleans water, but that doesn't
like the concept was, it didn't make any sense that you would boil, it will clean. I guess what they were trying to say was that maybe you boil the water in, like you would do in many countries actually. If it's not like you get water, you boil it and you filter it before you drink it. But it just seemed weird to me that you would boil it and then still drink it with the filtered. Anyway, long story short, in Madagascar they have a drink called Ranovola, which is basically, if there's some burnt rice, you pour water over it, allow it to steep, cool it down, filter it, or strain it rather, and you can have it over ice. You can drink it as it is. Some people can sweeten it with some sugar and some milk. I tried it with a little bit of honey and some condensed milk, and then I tried it again with some honey, lime, and mint leaves, and I even added a little bit of rum to it. I've seen something else that says that electrolytes from the rice is transferred to the water and can have anti-diarrheal benefits. All of these things we do not know. We are not doctors, but this is just information we found online. Please, if you're from Madagascar, please educate us more about Ranovola.
Yeah, we're kind of owning our ignorance in this.
We're just the messengers.
I mean, like, we're owning it, right? Like, it's interactive. Send us a message, let us know.
I didn't get the impression that what happens is people sit down, burn rice deliberately, and pour water over it, because that makes no sense. I think it seems to be just a way to not waste completely. So, yeah.
Madagascar is an island, right?
Yeah. Water.
I didn't say it, but
I mean, in the middle of water.
I didn't say it, but I just ask questions. Okay? I'm not responsible for the answers or where.
No, I got the impression like it wasn't. I don't know. They don't want to make sure. Like, you know how if you ever made jollof rice, right, and you scrape off your rice, and you want your pot is burnt, and you pour water in it, you see the amount of rice that comes out. So I don't know if that's where this was going, but like we said, we're owning our ignorance. Yeah. Tell us more about this.
Yeah, we're ignorant about this. Thank you.
What did you think about the dish and the drink? Actually, maybe we should ask about the drink.
You know what? Okay, today's a good day. I already talked about the duck thing and brought us down. So we're going to go all the way back up. So let me start by saying something nice about the drink. When I drank it, it was cold. That's it. It was a hot day. so it was cold.
Okay.
I mean, it's burnt rice water. It's an acquired taste, I guess. You do you. And honestly, look on the... Okay, wait, I have a second nice thing to say. It's the easiest thing.
It is.
About everything we've made on this blog or podcast. This is literally the easiest thing. You can make it as often as possible. Make rice, like you're actually making rice. And if it's burnt, add water and drink.
Let it steep.
There you go. I won't go too much into the other...
let's move on to the dish
side, because Ijoma knows my mouth is very sharp, so let's not go into. Let's just say it's an acquired taste, but it's not a taste I acquired. How about that?
In your mind now, that's profound, eh?
I know, I'm so deep. Oh Lord.
Oh God.
Now, for the main dish, you know what it is. Remember the name. Read the episode title.
We don't want to kill it one more time.
Read the episode title. You remember the name. So for the main dish, I liked it. It's lovely. It has a lot of pepper, which Ijoma is going to confess to at some point, because obviously she needs to burn my stomach wall lining.
I can't taste any pepper.
It's okay. But it was delicious. That's one thing. Now, how it would have tasted, I think she had described in the process about how it took long to actually become soft. So I think one of those things is maybe when one makes it a couple of times or is able to make it soft, it might have a little bit of an impact. But that tells you that even though it wasn't all that soft, and when I had it, it was like the day after, it still tasted pretty good. Like it's something I would eat. It's something I would eat regularly. I like beans. I like legumes. So it would be something that I would try. I personally don't like stress. So it's something I would try in the restaurants. Because actually, no, I might cook it in the Instant Pot. Yeah. So there's a possibility there. I like that it had the meat inside. So what that does is that while you're eating your meal, it actually has that additional protein.
There was something we forgot to mention. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
This dish is served over rice. Did we say that?
We didn't, but you see, this is how good the dish is on its own.
I personally would eat it by itself.
And forget that there's rice. Because, of course, if you drink burnt rice water, you lose your appetite. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean it. But, I love it. The burnt rice water was the best. But, so basically you can eat it without the rice. It's good on its own. You don't have to make yours as spicy, but it was kind of spicy. But it also had like a zing a little bit. And I think that might have come maybe from the ginger or something. But I don't know, like it was kind of like beansy. I'm going to make up my own words. So it's kind of like beansy, but zingy at the same time. So if you take those two tastes and smash it in your head, that's kind of what it tastes like. Beansy and zingy beansy.
And for the record here, when we're talking about beans, we don't mean green beans. We mean the legumes that are kind of similar family to chickpeas.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, so black eyed peas.
So what did you think? Let's start with rice water because I need to get myself out of this bus that I'm putting myself under. Okay.
I didn't mind it. It's definitely an acquired taste. And the thing with it is there are different levels to the depth. So think of it as a tea. So the longer it sits and steeps for, the stronger the flavor is. It made me think of popcorn in a really weird way. But not
popcorn?
Well, it had a popcorny flavor. I guess when the popcorn is about to be burnt, I don't know. But it had that kind of weird popcorn thing. It also reminded me in a very strange way of a very light beer or a very strange tea. I don't know how to describe it, but imagine if rice is burning, that smell, if it was packaged into a taste, which is kind of what it was. But it wasn't.
Imagine that.
Oh my God. I would say this though, don't drink it at room temperature. It tasted better to me cold, and it tasted even better over ice. I had it in different ways, like I said. I didn't mind it by itself. I had it with a little bit of honey, and I didn't mind that either. I had it with a bit of lemon, even put in some rum, and it was not bad. It's not the kind of thing I would make because in my mind, I'm not trying to, like, I don't know, I wouldn't go out of my way to make it, obviously. And even if I had burnt rice, I probably wouldn't make it.
Why, Joma? Why wouldn't you make it a super easy drink?
Wait, here's the thing. If somebody told me it was a weight loss drink, then I would drink it. So it's not like I cannot, do you know what I mean? Like if I had to drink it, I would drink it. It's not an issue. There's some things I would not drink even if you told me I would lose weight, or if for dietary. Like, do you understand what I'm trying to get at? I don't know how to explain it.
So basically, you don't like it enough to make it on its own, but you can tolerate it if it's for a purpose. I'm just taking your words.
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
But what I mean is, okay, let me put it this way. I made some of it and I didn't like toss it. I'm going to drink it. I'm fine with it. There's some things that I can make and I will just throw out. Can we just, I won't mention some certain dishes that have made me almost toss the whole thing in the bin. But
we know.
Yeah, okay. So I don't feel that strongly about it. So I didn't mind it. Wow. Again, guys, that's a personal thing for me. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that particular dish. It's just my relationship with the particular.
I have a house address if you need to,
it's just my relationship with that particular ingredient, not even the dish itself. Anyway, so when it comes to the main meal, I was explaining that before I put it in the Instapot, I really liked the flavor more because I could taste a lot of things. It wasn't as mushy. But the problem was that the beans were still a little al dente. Once we put it in the Instapot and cooked it, I found it was a little bit drier and I didn't like it as much. But overall, I think it's a great dish. Think of a chickpea dish, right? Chickpea already brings that creamy, legumy flavor to it. So it's kind of like that. The pork had an added zing that came with it. That pepper thing that Yemi is talking about had nothing to do with the dish and everything to do with me. Confess. Because in the process of pouring liters and liters and liters of water into this thing to cook it, obviously I was like, okay, I need to put more spice. I can't taste any more spice. And I was just panicking and pouring things in. But I still can't taste the pepper too that she's referring to. So I don't know if I didn't mix it well and you had like a big spoonful of pepper. But
maybe I just got your whole spoonful.
I wonder. I don't know, but who knows? Because typically you have a higher pepper threshold than I do.
Oh, I didn't say it was bad. I just said it was a lot. Like I can
recognize. But I can't taste anything. I couldn't taste any pepper. That's my thing.
Oh, maybe it's because you drank that rice water.
Wow. Okay, fine. That said, though, I would make this again, but I would do what some other recipes said to do, and that is I would pre-boil the beans separately, at least for an hour 15 or something, and then cook it together with the meat and everything else. Because at least if it's just boiling, I'm not as stressed out. And I'll probably use an Instant Pot as well to boil it. So that I would do differently. Again, we want to mention that this one we didn't use tomatoes, but some people choose to use tomatoes. So it might be a little bit different depending on where you go. But otherwise, I liked it. In a way, cooking it reminded me of cooking cachupa. And I don't know how long you've been listening with us, but cachupa is from Cape Verde, which is another island country. And something I was noticing was in Nigeria or most of West Africa, actually, you have pork, but it's not like we eat pork the way we eat beef or chicken or fish. But I noticed that in certain island countries, they have that combination of the pork and the beans. So it's in Cape Verde. It's here as well. There was another country, I don't remember. I don't remember which one it was. But yeah, it made me think of cachupa. And cachupa was from our Cape Verde episode. So go listen to that one. And you hear how
if you listened to it before, just listen to it again.
Yeah.
Why not?
Okay. I mean, you can, in as much as you can hear me whining about burnt rice water, you can hear her rave about cachupa in the other episode.
I know. When I love something, you know I love it. And when I'm not a fan, you can tell. I don't hold back. Well, actually, that's wrong. I cannot hold back my thoughts about
this episode is over.
Okay, we're done. We're done. So we're at the end of this episode. And it feels like we're zipping through the countries. I can't believe we're already more than halfway through our exploration journey, Ijoma.
I know. It's crazy. I also really enjoyed learning about Madagascar. The culinary influences and fusions are very interesting. And even learning little things about the country's ecology as a side note was a great experience. And we'll tell you a little bit more about that in about a week in our mid-episode post.
Yeah, so friends, thank you for listening. Look up more on Madagascar, follow us on social media, and let us know what you think about the food or the history that we shared.
And in the meantime, stay safe, enjoy the little gifts in life that you have, and savor the little moments of joy, and we will see you next time. Go ahead, do it.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. While the podcast airs every 2 weeks, we have a backlog of episodes just waiting for you to enjoy.
The show is a collaboration between Tunuka Media and 234 Pantry.
Africa in My Kitchen is produced by Tunuka Media and co-hosted with 234 Pantry. So while on Instagram, visit both Tunuka Media and 234 Pantry. With Tunuka Media, you'll find out about more shows produced which aren't necessarily food related, while on 234 Pantry, you will get more food related content.
For example, Tunuka Media also produces another show called Overlooked, which I host. All the links with the relevant information to connect with us are located in the show notes. Like, subscribe, and share within your community. We'd also really love for you to give the show a high rating wherever you enjoy your podcasts.